It's the great Aussie dream, owning your own property. But what if you want to make your money work even harder for you and buy not just one property, but two?
In the coming months, we'll help Aussies take one of the biggest risks of their lives and buy not just one, but two slices of the great Australian dream that will set them up for life.
This week we meet Lauren and Clint, a couple relocating to Queensland for a peaceful farm life.
I'm looking for 100 acres where, we've got some sheep and some cattle and definitely some pigs.
We searched through Noosa's beautiful hinterland.
How much land is it?
It's 60 acres.
It's a lot of land.
For their perfect farm.
I'm struggling with the land now. Only 5 acres.
5 acres is definitely better, bigger than I thought.
But can we get them to agree on what they want?
A little bit more land would be good, so it's still open.
Is that your influence there, a little bit more land?
That is definitely my influence.
This one is certainly a tough challenge.
This week we're pulling up stumps in the middle of a barren desert.
And putting them down in the rolling green hills of paradise.
As a loved-up couple from West Australia gets set to make one of the biggest moves and biggest decisions of their lives.
We're in the middle of a desert. We're surrounded by iron ore. It's dry, it's hot, there's lots of flies.
You do have times where you just really miss the basics that you get in a city.
Lauren and Clint live and work in the remote mining town of Newman in Western Australia. Over 12 hours from Perth and hundreds of kilometres from the nearest town, there's nothing here but red dust and searing heat.
I remember when I first flew into Newman, I actually cried about the 3rd day here. I was just devastated. I couldn't believe that I'd moved here.
Lauren and Clint have been working in the mining industry for the last 3 years. It's tough work, with long hours, but they're now throwing it all in to chase a happier existence together.
I just don't want to work in the mining industry for the rest of my life. What I do to earn an income isn't as important as it has been previously. The lifestyle is now.
I think when we find our dream property, I'm hoping we have a few kids. And that we're relaxed and happy and just enjoying life and being able to enjoy our time together, really.
Their dream life is a far cry from what Newman has to offer. They're after green open pastures where they can run a farm.
There is a bit of a picture in my head where, I've got some sheep and some cattle and definitely some pigs, chooks, and then a decent sized orchard as well. I guess for me it's being able to live off the land. That's a dream or a goal of mine, to be able to live off my own land.
To help fund their dream, they're also looking for an investment property they can rent out. The only catch is they want both properties over the other side of the country.
4-bedroom Queensland.
We chose Queensland just because it's got a beautiful climate, it's green. We can get land there that's close to the coast, close to major centres, that's affordable.
How about that one?
Sounds good.
But looking for their ideal property in Queensland when they're 5,000 kilometres away and in the middle of nowhere isn't an easy task.
Not to mention the huge risk they're taking by packing up and leaving their friends and family behind in Western Australia to start their new life.
It's somewhat scary, like saying that changing your whole lifestyle isn't scary would be a lie, because we're comfortable doing what we do, we know it, we've been doing it for a long time. But I think the benefits of just being able to control everything in your own little area just far outweigh the risks at the moment.
With so much at stake, I've come all the way to Newman to find out exactly what Clint and Lauren are after and help turn their dream of a life on the land into a reality. Hello, Lauren, Bryce. How are you?
How you going, Bryce?
How are you?
Good to meet you.
Likewise. So this is home?
This is home.
It's a bit warm outside.
It is. It's getting up to 40, mate, yeah.
Now, Veronica and I are looking forward to the search for you guys. So tell us a little bit about what you're looking for in the next house.
I'm looking more at the land and location.
Yep.
I'm looking for more along the lines of 100 acres.
Yeah.
Up to 100 acres, I should put that correctly.
Yeah. And you, Lauren? Looking for 100 acres?
No.
Not
10 acres would be nice.
Yeah.
Just a nice manageable block of land.
So how far are you prepared to compromise, either of you, on the size of the block?
He's confident he can manage the 100 acres, so I'm happy to go that large if it doesn't mean the isolation, if we can still be close to the amenities, close to the coast. I've lived enough time in mining towns, I've been isolated. I don't want to move from one area of isolation to another.
As well as being close to bigger city amenities, Lauren wants a property with a decent house on it.
And it's got to have a livable property on it, which I think for me is a big thing for him. He's more than happy not to, but I'd like to have nice, comfortable accommodations. I want a decent sized house. It doesn't have to be finished and beautiful because we can do all the work that we need to.
So for her, it's all about the house, and for him, it's all about the land. This could get interesting.
So have either of you lived on a big property before?
No.
So we've got a bit of a learning curve coming up. How do you think you'll go with 100 acres?
I guess it'd be challenging, but yeah, rewarding, I guess, in the end.
At least they're clear on where they want to be. They'd like their farm to be close to Noosa, nestled in the hinterland of Queensland's Sunshine Coast, where they can get fertile farming land and have access to all the amenities on the coast.
They want their self-sufficient farm to be between 10 and 100 acres, with good soil for growing vegetables and raising animals. And they'd like their farm to be within 90 minutes of Noosa. But for all of this, they have just $370,000. And they'll be sacrificing their handsome salaries in the mining industry to live this self-sufficient life.
You've also indicated that you're looking to buy an investment property.
We realised that we're going to go from having these two good incomes to having to work another way of getting our money and paying for our mortgages. So the second property is solely there as a source of income. So it doesn't have to be pretty, it has to be low maintenance, just something easy we can rent out and basically forget about.
So this investment property needs to perform, and quickly. They're after a one-bedroom or studio apartment close to Brisbane CBD. It needs to bring in a solid rental return, which on their tiny budget of just $200,000 is around 5% or $200 a week. So they have a total relocation pot of $570,000. Not a lot for us to work with. Time to start our search on the other side of the country in Queensland's Sunshine Coast.
Noosa is a seaside haven with spectacular beaches and warm climate. Each year, people move across the country to enjoy this cosmopolitan piece of paradise.
But with a population of over 50,000 people that grows to over 4 times that amount in the summer months, the property prices here are at a premium.
Noosa is one of my favourite places, but it's really expensive to live here. What worries me is that they've given us a brief of between 10 and 100 acres, and that's a really big range to cover.
And I wonder if Clint's actually connected to what 100 acres means. Is it a number just on a piece of paper, or does he realise how big a job that is once he's on the land?
Also how expensive it is too. I mean, we're going to have to go quite a fair way inland to be able to afford that size land.
Yeah, and look, the further they get away from the coast, the better, because their budget doesn't allow them to be close. But our challenge is to try and get them as close as we can.
I think we should go further inland, show them something big first up, and then we see how we go from there.
Good plan, because I think that'll actually flush out whether they are prepared to do 100 or whether it's more likely to be closer to Lauren's 10 acres as the preference.
So we're starting our search in the quiet countryside community of Tandor, an hour northwest of Noosa. With its rich soil and lush tropical surroundings, this area is perfect for growing fruit and grazing cattle.
And this first property, with 60 acres of fertile farming land, should be a good test for a couple who can't agree on size. The 4-bedroom weatherboard cottage is over 50 years old, and while it's livable in the short term, there's the opportunity for Lauren and Clint to build their dream home on a prettier part of the property down the track.
However, at $420,000, it's $50,000 over budget. But this place has been on the market for a long time, so I think there's a deal to be done.
What's your thoughts of being amongst the tropical environment?
It's definitely a lot greener than Newman.
Yeah.
But I guess it's quite hilly as well, which is a bit of a concern. But how much land is it?
It's 60 acres.
Awesome.
So it's a little bit in between the 10 and the 100. How do you feel about the size, Lauren?
It's still big, but it's better than 100.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right, shall we go and check the property out?
Let's do it. I love the wood floors.
Well, that's good. It's a pretty basic house, really. And what you're looking at is a really neat, well-maintained, 4-bedroom home. But we see it as a short-term solution, really. But what we have is a house that was built in the 50s.
It's definitely old.
But it's neat as a pin, it's well maintained.
One of the things you mentioned to us was the house wasn't as important as the land.
It's not for me. Definitely the land and the location is more important. So something like this I'd probably bulldoze.
It's livable, it's fine. Is it asbestos?
Yes, well, I think there's a fairly good chance it would be. Anything before 1986 has got high probability of having asbestos in it, and this was built in the 50s. Having said that, it's perfectly safe as long as it's not disturbed. And this is all painted, it's all really well maintained. But if you're going to start punching holes in walls and whatnot, you do need to actually get a specialist to handle that.
Yep.
And that can be expensive. Removal of the asbestos in this house could cost over $10,000. And then you've got to add the cost of bulldozing and rebuilding. But if Lauren and Clint were to rebuild further from the road, it could double the value of the property.
Now, Clint, I've tested this roof and I'm 6 foot. And there's not much clearance, so I've found a legitimate way for you to possibly be getting out of the dishes.
Oh my God!
It's woeful.
So I've been looking after you. Are you going to fit?
No way.
Oh yeah, no, you can do the dishes, no problem at all. Look at the view.
Yeah, it is actually a very good view.
You just have to bend over to enjoy it.
Nah, this is definitely too small, definitely need room, and I feel claustrophobic in here.
What a view.
It's beautiful.
It is a nice view.
Spectacular.
I don't feel this property suits running livestock. I'm just looking at the steepness of this hill.
It might surprise you to know that the current owner has run 20 head of cattle on this land.
Does surprise me, actually.
Yeah, so there is, there's some level-ish land down there. It is paddocked, so it is fenced. And there's a big shed up there.
Lauren, you've been very quiet here, not saying much.
I think I'm a bit overwhelmed with the amount of land and just how hilly it is.
If this land was flat, Veronica?
Oh, a lot more money. A lot more money. You could be looking at $1 million.
Yeah, that's a little bit out of our price range, I think.
Well, actually, as it is, it's out of your price range. We're looking at around about $420,000. But it has been on the market for a long time. We're talking 2 years. So I think they do want to sell.
If he thinks he can manage it, I guess it's not so bad, but it's a lot of work.
For Clint, this search is all about the land, but he isn't looking too convinced about these 60 acres.
What do you think?
I don't like the hill. So I think 60 acres is pretty tough to manage.
I think poor old Clint's dream's taken a bit of a battering.
Why is it always up to us to tell people they can't afford their dreams?
Well, you're pretty good at it.
Yeah, I'm a bit tough, I know, but still.
I see his point. I mean, if you're doing this for the first time, it would be a little scary to have sloping land.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be doing this daily, that's for sure.
You probably want flat land, but it's going to be up near $1 million for that.
Yes, well, sometimes it takes a few compromises to bring a dream to life. And it's time to figure out exactly what those are. So there's a few things that you're concerned about. But are they deal breakers, or is this a contender?
I don't mind the outlook, but if he's uncomfortable with 60 acres of hilly ground, it's 60 acres that I'm definitely not going to deal with, so...
Okay, so we'll look for something with a smaller lot size?
Yeah, definitely consider other lots a lot smaller.
There's a win. So, Clint doesn't like the land. At least now he realises that he may not want 100 acres.
Time to sniff out some new opportunities.
Wow.
What are you wowing at? The fabulous colour scheme?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a bit more manageable.
This is amazing. I do not know how couples ever buy houses.
These two lovebirds are desperate to escape their desert town in WA for the total opposite, across the country in tropical southeast Queensland.
Lauren's after a big home, but Clint doesn't care about the house. He just wants land, and lots of it.
I'm looking for more along the lines of 100 acres.
We've already shown them a 60-acre property in Tanda, where they could graze cattle and grow fruit trees, but they didn't like the sloping land.
I think 60 acres is pretty tough to manage.
Well, the problem is that neither Lauren nor Clint have a really clear idea on how much land they actually want.
And we tried large and that didn't work, but I found another one. It's only 5 acres, but it's got a great house on it, and I think Lauren will love it.
So we're heading 90 minutes northwest of Noosa to the tight-knit community of Widgie.
With just over 700 people, this tiny town has its own school and showground that holds the annual Bushman's Carnival.
And this next property should hit all the marks for Lauren. It's a more manageable size, but there's still enough room for animals.
There's also this recently built Queenslander with a number of areas for entertaining and 4 good-sized bedrooms. So they could move in without doing a thing.
It's a bit over budget at $399,000, but the handsome modern Queenslander makes this one a good deal.
Hello, this is a bit of a different proposition for you both.
Very different.
Very different.
There's a smile on your face, and I'm taking that to be a positive sign.
Missed that.
It's more like it, definitely more like it.
Hey, okay.
How much?
Oh, you want to buy it? Okay, we'll go and see the agent and we'll do a deal. Clint's a fan already. I wasn't expecting that. I wonder if this is more the size that Lauren had in mind.
How are you feeling about this property, Lauren?
I'm much more comfortable.
Yeah?
I like it, it's beautiful. I'm just worried it might be a bit too small for cattle.
Well, there is a solution with that. You can actually, for about $3 per head per week, you can actually adjust on the neighbouring properties, which might be a good thing, mate, since it's the first time looking after cattle.
And what are you thinking, Mr. 100 acre?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a bit more manageable.
Let's go and have a look inside.
Okay.
This house was built about 12 months ago. It actually was bought from the builder direct.
And I like the kitchen, first impression, very good.
Is it going to be an issue that there's nothing to do?
I think there's plenty to do outside all the time, so no, definitely not an issue. I'm actually quite impressed with what I see so far.
I sense we've had a bit of a shift here, okay? So before, instant reaction to house was, I'm going to demolish it anyway, who cares? And all of a sudden, we're liking a house.
Yes.
Yeah, you sense quite accurately, actually. I was committed to not even really focus on the house too much, but for some reason, this house has actually grabbed me.
I'm struggling with the land now. So
Well, we've done full circle, you know.
I just think it's beautiful, and the house is beautiful, the view's beautiful, but it's only 5 acres, and you can't do a lot with 5 acres.
This is amazing. I do not know how couples ever buy houses.
Especially when they keep changing their minds about what they want.
So the fence line being so close all the way around isn't bothering you?
Not really.
You wanted 100 acres. This isn't even, this is 5 acres.
Yeah, but it's quite big when you actually sit back here and have a look at it. There's quite a lot of work to do, so... Yeah, I did want 100 acres, but
You're now liking 5.
No, I'm just saying 5 is manageable.
It's definitely manageable. How many animals do you think you'll fit on here?
Not as many as obviously we wanted, but I like the house.
Wonders will never cease to amaze us. Did you see the look on Clint's face?
I know. I expected him to hate it and her to love it. And instead, we've got him reeling back that idea of 100 acres, and she is fighting to keep his dream of 100 acres alive. It's amazing.
Time to take each of them aside and get to the bottom of this.
I guess I always had this idea where we were going to have a big block of land, whether that was 10, 100 acres, with a dump on it. And now it's a smaller block of land, beautiful house, so it's all done, so we don't actually have to do anything.
So was that a big part of the dream for you, the actual project of building the dream home together?
I think it was. I think it was just the idea of getting your perfect house, you know, what you wanted, where you wanted.
So it might be a bigger job convincing you to go from 10 to 5 than it was
Yeah,
Clint to go from 100 to 5.
definitely, which I don't think either of us were expecting.
We weren't, that's for sure.
You know, I'm really surprised by your reaction here.
Why's that?
Well, it's totally not what I expected, but are you surprised?
Yeah, well, I think 5 acres is definitely better, well, bigger than I thought initially. And the style of house, well, yeah, I like this style of house, as you can probably see.
I can see that.
I just see a lot of stuff I can still do around the place.
Yeah.
You know, veggie patch, small orchard, couple of pigs.
So it can do, really, everything you wanted.
I think so.
Lauren's not as keen as you on this property, though.
I really need to sit down and have a chat to Lauren about it. Yeah.
Okay, now I want to know this from you. Who wears the pants in your family?
Definitely Lauren.
A wise answer, given Lauren's being swayed by her head, not her heart. This farm has to give them a decent income, and with only 5 acres, that's going to seriously limit that farming potential.
So, mate, we started the day looking for a property for 100 acres, and we've ended with 5 acres with a big smile on your face. And you've sort of not so keen on the 5 acres?
No, it's growing on me.
It's on the market for $399,000. It has been on the market for quite a while. It has had a price drop, but even so, the owners do want to sell, so we think we have a chance of pulling it in under budget.
It definitely is a buyer's market, so there's a deal to be done.
How does that sit with you in terms of price?
Yeah, I was thinking around the 350 mark.
Well, the price didn't seem to worry them. I think Clint's still keen on this property, but I'm not too sure about Lauren. It's been a big day. Let's get an early night.
Okay.
A new day brings a fresh perspective on the first 2 properties. Time to see whether they've been able to reach an agreement.
Where are we at?
A bit better than yesterday. We had a good sleep last night, so we're feeling much better.
And how about the 2 properties?
Yeah, first one's definitely out of the equation. However, the second one, yeah, still pretty excited about it. However, a little bit more land would be good, so it's still open.
Is that your influence there? A little bit more land?
That is definitely my influence. I mean, I'm warming to the second property, but I'd still like my 10 acres.
Well, Veronica and I have got a couple of properties today that are actually bigger than 5 acres to check out. How are we going to go with the extra size?
No, that'd be great. I'm looking forward to seeing them, actually.
Our next stop is Traviston. Slightly closer to Noosa than the last property, but in the same general direction. It's a peaceful little place that's a short train ride from the regional city of Gympie, with its pubs and restaurants and shops. I think they'll really like this property. It's got everything that they've said that they want, and it's only an hour from the coast.
And it's got that all-important 10 acres, which we know Lauren will love.
And it's quite usable. It's not too hilly. It's nice and rolling. There's even a dam. It's got fruit trees already there. I mean, there's a lot going for it. And the house itself, now we know that is more important as well, is in a decent condition. A bit cosmetically challenged, but they can address that.
But it's got that power line at the back, and that's something that they might not be able to overcome.
I wonder if they might be able to get over that, because they've got to compromise on something.
So it'll be really interesting to see how they feel after this property.
This cute 4-bedroom cottage is loaded with character. And the land is flat and farm ready. So the asking price is higher than the previous properties at $445,000. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Did you enjoy the scenery on the way through?
It was very nice. Lots of trees, very green.
Rolling hills.
Rolling hills,
Rolling
yes.
hills, yes.
Well, we think today we have, in many respects, a property that's hit the nail right on the head. We have 10 very usable acres.
Perfect size.
Exciting.
We've got 4 paddocks, already fenced. There's some outbuildings, sheds, that sort of thing. There's even a place for the pigs.
But the bad news is that this property is over budget. It's $445,000. But when you're getting more land size, it's going to cost a little bit more for the budget. How do you feel about that?
I guess it depends on what the house is like.
Well, as you know, with real estate, there's always room to negotiate, but I've got something to show you.
And why don't I take you in to look at the house?
Sounds good. Wow.
What are you wowing at? The fabulous colour scheme.
I actually really like it. Clint will hate it. But purple and pink are my favourite colours.
So we've just walked through, I guess, the casual living area, and then we've got another big room.
This room is really good size. I would paint the walls in here though. I think there's a tad bit too much colour in this house.
I don't think she's tickled pink by the paintwork. Getting it painted would cost around $5,000, or they could do it themselves for paint costs only, which would be about $1,000. This house does give you some options because it was previously tenanted. The agents are thinking it can get somewhere between $300 and $350 a week. So if you decided not to move over straight away, there's an option to keep it as an investment for a short period before you move in. But obviously, you know, it's so livable, you can do lots to it.
See, it's got the stuff to keep Clint busy when he wants to, but I'll be comfortable in here until he gets around to it all, so it's cool.
So far, so good. Lauren likes the house, but what will Clint make of the land?
This here is an orchard. So we've got mango trees, macadamia trees here, so there's already something established and started for you.
Oh, the trees have definitely saved me a lot of work, that's for sure, because that's what I'm looking to do, set up a small orchard.
You could quite easily run the 2 head of cattle that you were thinking of early.
Yep.
And with grain feed, you could bring that size up.
There's also the infrastructure for pigs and chickens, and a large dam and irrigation taps already installed across the property, so it's ready to go.
Lauren was the one that was interested in this size, being 10 acres. What do you think she'll feel about the property?
Yeah, well, this is what she wanted, 10 acres, and I think it's more suitable for both of us.
What was it that you'd seen before that made you think 100 acres is for you?
Oh, I guess the 100 acres is something I plucked from downstairs, but 100 acres was enough space to be able to do everything we want to do long term.
So overnight we can safely say that we've compromised from 100 to maximum 10?
But yeah, I think to start off with, 10 acres is pretty much spot on.
Good news, Clint loved the dam and he loved the property.
And I think Lauren really likes the house.
What about the deal breaker at the back?
Ooh. Yes, the power line. Unfortunately, I think that might be enough to blow this one sky high. Cast her over there.
Clint's not going to be happy. Driving around, the thing he said to me is, I really don't mind as long as there's not big power lines going through the property.
So, Clint, you like the house?
Not really. The off-putting thing is the power lines around everywhere.
Would you be surprised if I told you that where we're standing here now, you're getting less radiation from that than you would be if you were blow-drying your hair?
Yes, I would be surprised.
But is it about that or is it about the visual?
It's a bit of both, really. It's, the visual, the hazard of having power lines in your yard. Yeah.
The problem is that if you're going to be looking at 10 acres of usable land like this, half an hour from the coast, without that, we're looking at another $50,000 and we're already over budget.
Well, in that case, I'd rather be further away from the coast without the power lines.
Well, we've got one more property to look at.
And given the track record with these two, I don't know which way it's going to go.
The property so far ticks quite a lot of boxes.
It's beautiful.
But
It's a lot of land.
Oh no, we've got the old Lauren back. Lauren and Clint are searching for their dream home, about as far away as possible from where they currently live.
And already this hunt is throwing up more questions than answers.
Clint already has a firm favourite, this 5-acre property with a near-new Queenslander. But Lauren's proving that in this search, size definitely does matter.
It's only 5 acres and you can't do a lot with 5 acres.
So we're upsizing on the land as we head an hour and a half from Noosa to the rolling hills and tranquil countryside of Mooloo. And right in the heart of it is this rustic 20-acre farm.
Hello?
Hello.
Now we know first impressions count, but don't judge a book by its cover on this one. What do you think?
yeah, like the landscape so far. Definitely impressed.
We think you've got a bit of a ready-made farm here.
So how big is the property?
It's more than what you wanted.
100 acres?
No, it's 20.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, good size based on what we've been seeing. With 20 acres of very usable pasture, complete with a mature orchard and all the infrastructure they need, Clint and Lauren can have the working farm they've always wanted.
But they do need to compromise on the house. This old weatherboard cottage needs a lot of work to get it up to scratch.
Thankfully, this property is priced to sell for land value only at $310,000.
What's great about here, there's so much here you don't actually have to build yourself. The land itself needs some attention, but really it's already there as a farm. There's the infrastructure there, you've got sheds, they all need work.
Yep.
You've got a dam, you're going to have to put a pump in and irrigate. You know, you've got this fabulous sty. It needs a lot of work. You think you're up for it?
It's kind of expected that getting into a new farm with no experience. We knew there was going to be a lot of work, so yeah.
So what is it about pigs that you like so much?
Eating them.
Okay, you see these guys? You got some roast chicken here. Not bad for a barbie. And these Brahman cows, you could probably get 10 on this property. Very, very low maintenance.
Nice.
Low maintenance is good.
Low maintenance is very good. The less I have to do, the better.
Lulu.
That is so dodgy.
I'm taking the bull by the horns on this one, Veronica.
Yes, but Lauren hasn't seen how big this property really is yet, and that will be the clincher. Look, there's 2 acres of mangoes and avocado trees already there.
Yeah, the property so far ticks quite a lot of boxes for me personally. Like the established orchard that's already there. The size of the land, I guess, 20 acres. There's a fair bit of room to work with here, and there's a water source down the bottom.
It's beautiful, and
But
it's a lot of land.
Oh no, we've got the old Lauren back. No!
Would you be surprised to know that this property is actually under budget?
Really?
Do tell.
Significantly under budget, in fact. It's been priced to sell. It's only been on the market a couple of weeks, and the price is $310,000.
fair income. Wow. Let's settle this now.
We got a pen?
Okay, this is what I like to see.
That's
a bit of
good response,
excitement.
Lauren.
Yeah.
Clint's handing over his wallet already.
Yes, but they haven't seen inside of the house yet.
What is that? The rat.
Yeah, I wouldn't go near them.
The rats are going. Needs a lot of work.
You think?
It's borderline being knocked down completely. Oh, check this out. If you can fit. Yeah, not my colours. Can you see yourself in that?
No.
Well, this will be a test.
It will. Up until now, Clint said the house didn't matter, and Lauren said she wanted a project.
Yeah, well, we've shown them the Garden of Eden, and now they're inside the House of Horrors.
Well, we did ask why it was only $310,000, and I guess we found out why.
Yeah, I think even leasing this out, you're going to have to spend a bit of money on it first.
We can get people to rent, and we can build on the hill.
That's an option.
This would mean a change of plans for Lauren and Clint.
Have you seen
As well as doing up the cottage for tenants, they'd have to delay their move to Mooloo and continue working in the mines in Newman to fund the construction of their new home.
I better go find out whether he's put his wallet back in his pocket. Okay, guys. What's the verdict?
I actually think for the first time, this house I would bulldoze. Out of all the houses I've seen, I would just bulldoze this one.
Yeah, it's just far too much work. I mean, short term, you could probably spend a little bit of money on it and maybe rent it out for a while until maybe the house is built up top.
Yep. As it is now, is the house a deal breaker?
No, not at all.
No, it's all about the land.
Okay.
It's all about the views, the orchard that's already there.
And it is land value, so I guess the house and the ability to rent it out in the short term is a bonus.
Yep.
It looks like Lauren and Clint might be sold on this rustic farmyard in Mooloo. At $310,000, it's well within their budget, and they've got cash left over to bring it up to scratch before renting it out.
But let's not forget the Queenslander in Widgie. Although the asking price of $399,000 is above their budget, Clint fell in love with the house. Lauren and Clint have a long night ahead weighing up the pros and cons. And the next morning brings a surprising decision.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Go on.
How did we sleep last night?
Surprisingly well.
Surprisingly well. We left it that today we're looking at 5 acres in Widgie and 20 acres in Mooloo.
Not looking at Widgie anymore.
Not looking at Widgie?
No.
No, we decided overnight that 5 acres wasn't quite big enough for what we want to do long term.
Okay, so that sounds good. So what is it that we're looking for at Mooloo when we get out there today?
We've decided for Mooloo it's not our dream property, but it's all about fixing it up if it's possible to do in budget and then selling it off and using that money to buy our dream.
We've got a builder on standby, so I think we should get back in the car and head out over to Mooloo. What do you reckon?
Sounds great.
All right, let's do it.
Well, that's a turnaround. We started out looking for their dream property and ended up finding an investment property. But there's potential to make money here, depending on how much the house will cost to fix. That's why we have a builder looking through the property prior to making an offer, so they know exactly what they're up for.
The way I see it is there's 3 main issues with the house. The plumbing, you're probably looking at around in excess of about 30 grand, and the roof probably up to about 15,000, and the electrical probably around 8,000.
So now that you know that it's over 50,000, just to get it up to scratch, does that change things?
I don't think so, no. I think I'd like to see what this would sell for with those repairs.
The local agent has told us that if you get it to a position where all of those things are done, the price would be between $500,000 and $550,000.
Yeah, I think we were definitely interested before we came here this morning. We kind of thought $50,000 we were willing to spend to spruce up the house. So I think we're quite comfortable to make a decision today.
An undercapitalised house is a great way to make some money. In this case, it could potentially earn Lauren and Clint a 40% profit. You've got to be careful though, because in a property like this, the unknown factor is termites. And in southeast Queensland, 1 in 3 properties may be affected. So we really need to make sure that Lauren and Clint protect themselves in the contract by making sure that a pest inspection is part of the conditions.
While Lauren and Clint weigh up their options on Mooloo, I've started the hunt for their investment property. Their city of choice is Brisbane, and prices here are hot on the heels of Melbourne and Sydney. And with Clint and Lauren's budget of just $200,000, we've got to be clever with what we're looking for. Forecasts have shown that in the coming decade, the most common form of household in this country is going to be single people living on their own. So a wise investment choice for people looking to invest in a capital city on a budget could be to look at a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment as close to the CBD as possible. There's no shortage of single bedders close to the Brisbane CBD, but the tight budget makes it a very difficult search.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Clint and Lauren have made a decision about the rustic farmyard at Mooloo. Now, you guys have had some time to have a think about the property. Let me know what's going on in your mind.
We'd like to put in an offer. We just want to make sure we get a pest inspection done.
Good.
What do you recommend?
It's on the market at $310,000. I think we go just a little bit under at $302,750 because it looks like a genuine offer with an uneven number. And because we've got a little bit of time up our sleeve, that gives us a little bit of wriggle room. But I think it's really, really good buying up to 310. So what do you think about that?
I can go for it.
Go for that?
Yeah, well, that gives us a little bit more money to spend on the house, so...
All right, let's make the call. Hey Wayne, it's Bryce here. How are you? I'm well, thanks. Hey, I'm sitting here with Lauren and Clint, and they are interested in putting in an offer. And our offer is $302,750, but they have said that they do want to make that subject to a building and pest inspection. Yep, that'd be great. Look forward to it. Thanks, Wayne. Bye now. He said he's going to call the owner straight away and he's going to get back to us ASAP.
Okay.
So we've got the waiting game. And in the real estate waiting game, anything can happen.
If it was my money, I would choose this one.
My ears are definitely pricked.
For me, I could never live here.
This week we're helping Lauren and Clint move to the lush green hills of southeast Queensland,
Where they've sniffed out an ideal opportunity to renovate and resell this 20-acre rustic farmyard at Mooloo.
They've put in an offer pending a pest inspection report, and now it's crunch time. Hello, Bryce speaking. Hi, Wayne. Okay. Sure. I'll let them know and I'll get back to you. Thanks, Wayne. Bye. Looks like you guys have just bought a property. Yes. Congratulations.
Cheers, mate.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Good.
So they've done it. At $302,750, Clint and Lauren are on the way to owning 20 acres of farmland. It may not be the dream property we were searching for, but as an investment, it puts them one step closer to their idyllic farm life. Bring on the champagne.
So they look thrilled with that outcome. Hopefully we'll have a similar result with their second property search in Brisbane.
Remember, they're wanting a 1-bedroom or studio apartment close to the CBD, but they have a budget of just $200,000.
The median price for a 1-bedder in Brisbane City is $335,000. So I've had to work hard to find this first property right in the heart of the CBD. Hello.
How you going?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we're excited too.
Well, this is totally different. Brisbane, the city. Are you still keen to buy an investment property here?
Yeah, most definitely. We're still really keen to look at these properties.
Excellent. I've got the first one lined up. Let's go and have a look.
Okay.
This studio isn't much to look at.
With just 43 square metres of space, it's tiny.
But it's reasonably priced at $240,000, which is negotiable. And it has a rental return of $300 a week.
And if the numbers are all Clint and Lauren are really looking at, this investment is a big winner.
This is an old wool store that was converted to apartments some time ago, and you've got lovely high ceilings, there's exposed beams, great original features. It's also right in the heart of the city, so people can live here to commute, walk to the city, and cafes, shops, the whole bit. That's the good news. And now there's that small matter of size.
Wow.
It's small, but we're never going to live in it.
That's a great reaction from an investor's point of view. I thought I saw some shock on your face when we walked in, Lauren. What was that about?
I've never lived in an apartment or a unit. I've always been in very big spaces, so it's tiny. For me, I could never live here.
This particular property does have probably the highest yield that we've been able to find because of its location, because it's of attractiveness to a wide range of tenants. A very achievable rent here is $300 a week, and potentially you could get up to $330 in this location.
For me, I don't really care about the place. It's all about how much it costs up front and how much we can rent it out. That's it, period.
I've never met an investor that truly bases their decision on the numbers. There's always some level of emotion. Are you serious that it totally is, you don't care other than the numbers?
I'm deadly serious. The emotion was all about the Maloo property. This here is all about the numbers for us.
They're asking $240,000, but there is room to move within that. If we forget the price for a minute, because apparently the owner's very keen to sell, maybe there's a chance to get it down to your budget. Would you buy it?
Maybe.
Okay, well, it's not a no.
It's not a no.
But it's not exactly a yes either. Luckily, I have an ace up my sleeve, and it's in a pretty part of Brisbane called Highgate Hill.
Still close to the CBD and a stone's throw from West End's restaurants and cafes, it's a popular place to rent and buy.
Well, this place is very different to the last one. We're only 2 k's from the city. Lovely area. Leafy, quiet. Couldn't get more different, really, could you?
That's it.
At 45 square metres, this studio isn't much bigger than the last one. But the clear difference here is that it's an attractive apartment with a balcony, a good outlook and access to a pool.
All for the price tag of $229,000. Over budget, but negotiable.
Okay, guys, off to you.
Wow, this is different. This is like a house more than a tiny box of a unit.
Much better.
I'm really impressed that we're getting a reaction from somebody who doesn't care.
It's because I think he could see himself comfortably living here.
As far as investments go, if you only look at one marker, the rental return on this is slightly less than the other one.
This one here would be more appealing for me.
It feels like it's worth more just walking in here. Like, me personally, I'd pay more to rent here, live here, than I would in the other property.
So how much is it?
So the asking price on this is $229,000. And there is a potential for room to negotiate.
Yeah, that's reasonable, I guess.
If it was my money, I would choose this one. Because when you're looking at investment, it's not just the rental return that you have to consider. It is also the long-term growth prospects, and particularly in a capital city where you want it to grow in value because otherwise it's lagging behind other properties. If the rental market ever goes sour, this is a sort of property that is always going to attract tenants because, as you said, it's more appealing.
My ears are definitely pricked.
Yep.
I definitely want to do a little bit more research.
Yep.
But this option is definitely open.
Okay. And Clint said the look of the apartment didn't matter. It just goes to show that it's hard to keep the emotion out of real estate. They're now going to go away and consider all their options before making a decision on the apartment.
At least they bought the Mooloo farm, pending a pest inspection, of course. Or have they?
3 months on, and it's all changed again for Lauren and Clint.
They've ditched the lush Queensland dream and are still in the dusty desert town of Newman, Western Australia. And we're going back to find out exactly what happened.
Hello.
How are you?
It's not too bad.
So last time we left you in Mooloo, you'd bought a property, so did the settlement go okay?
We actually did buy that property. However, it was pending a pest control inspection, and that failed miserably. So unfortunately, we pulled out of the contract.
Well, the obvious question for me is that you were buying that property really for land value. In fact, your first reaction was that you're going to demolish that house. So how come a building and pest inspection could be so damaging?
Because it wasn't our dream property and we knew we didn't love it, and it was all about getting in there, fixing it up, selling it off and then buying our dream property. So it would have been nice to make the quick cash that we thought we could out of it.
After seeing the results, seeing that it was full of white ants and et cetera, it was really disappointing that a potential project just went down the googler.
So Lauren and Clint started out looking for their dream farm and ended up finding what they thought was a moneymaker at Mooloo.
They learnt a hard lesson that speculating in country property can have its pitfalls.
One thing they won't miss is the tedious supervision of the building project on the other side of the country. But what about that Brisbane investment?
So with your property plans moving forward, are you still looking to buy something in Queensland?
I wouldn't say Queensland. I guess we've been looking around West Australia, more down the southwest of West Australia.
Did you want to be closer to home?
We did, due to change in circumstances. I'm now pregnant.
Whoa, congratulations.
Oh, that's awesome news.
Thank you.
Well done.
So obviously it's better for us to be closer to family.
Okay, so West Australia now, what region are you planning on?
Margaret River.
Nice.
Anywhere with nice green areas, trees, close to the coast. The prices down there are a lot higher than what they are in Queensland. So obviously, looking at more land than house and land at the moment.
Lauren certainly got that right. In the current market, their combined budget of $570,000 would only buy them about 16 acres of land around Margaret River.
The good news is that Clint's just had a promotion. So mate, you've got a new opportunity coming up at work?
Yeah, I guess there's a couple of opportunities which weren't here before. So I guess enjoying work again is really important for me.
While Newman may not be their ideal long-term home, Clint's promotion certainly sweetens the prospect of staying a few more years and saving for that dream farm.
We really, really want our property and we know how important it is to us now. So it's kind of pushed the passion. So that's our aim, is to find our dream farm and start building.
Yes, it's true to say that this dream is definitely a work in progress. But one thing that hasn't changed is Lauren and Clint's hopes of a better, more peaceful life on some rolling green hills sometime down the track.